Hey, welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Nic Harcourt's here from Guitar Center Sessions on the Audience Network and DirecTV. We were just talking about American sports, if you were affected by them at all.
Yeah.
You don't care. Well, baseball, you say you don't mind. Football. But again, soccer, to me...
I knew we'd get to sports.
If you love soccer...
See, I do watch the show.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
And
you don't have to.
No, I don't have to. I know. But, you know, I usually catch the last 5 minutes before I watch Guitar Center Sessions.
I do like your show. I'm a fan of your show.
No, I do watch the show, and I know you talk about sports a lot. And it's funny, I saw you with Harry Shearer the other day.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that he could talk about sports.
He loves basketball. He's a big hoops guy.
So I knew it had come up. I mean, you got to understand that I grew up in England.
Right.
Which is soccer and cricket.
But your sports, well, cricket, I don't know how anybody ever got into that.
I don't understand that sport at all, still.
And I don't know how you can make it TV friendly. I mean, Dick Ebersol and Roone Arledge together could have a kid and not figure out how to make that TV friendly.
You know how it works. It goes for a day.
Yeah.
It's a day-long game, and then sometimes 5 days. So
5 days long.
You just get the beer in, and you just keep going. It's just like a football game, only it goes on longer and longer.
Well, see, soccer to me, though, if it's ever going to take this country over, it's in the next 10 years because everybody's kids play soccer now.
It's happening.
And you wonder if, because they're afraid of football, and maybe they're too bored to play baseball. And basketball has really become a specifically, like, it's the one sport that the inner city just says, look, just stay away. We got this, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think, like, if suburban kids are going to dominate a sport in America in the next 10 years, it might be soccer.
Okay, you're going to hate me now, I know, and everyone's going to hate me. But football, I just don't understand.
Right. I get that.
I just don't understand it.
But if you're watching a soccer game, then, see, okay, here's my only argument to that. If you're watching soccer and you love soccer, doesn't part of you go, wouldn't it be great if they could pick up the ball, throw it, and then tackle each other?
Yeah. Right.
Well, we have that game as well. It's called rugby.
Rugby, okay. Explain rugby.
Rugby's just not as there aren't the big hits.
What is rugby? What is rugby?
Well, you can't get killed in rugby because you don't have like helmets and pads that can kill you.
What happens in a scrum? What exactly happens in a scrum?
I don't know.
What is the goal of a scrum? What happens? I don't know.
You get the ball out and you run down the field.
Yeah,
and then a guy can just kick it out of nowhere.
I guess,
push each other. Well, there's different. There's rugby and then there's
Australian
rules.
Australian rules is completely out there.
Yeah, which is completely
They have
different.
like 4 posts.
Yeah, and you can just kick it through anyone. You can just pick it up.
And they can bounce
kick it or run it or So
huge in Australia.
I think that theory of
15 million people love that sport.
Well, I'm saying that theory where Australia was a British colony and it's where they sent all the prisoners. And it does make sense that all those people are descendants of those crazy people. Because, I mean, Australia's got very unique...
Careful.
Very unique...
I spent a little time down there. You might want to be careful.
Very unique, wonderful people.
Yeah.
Artie, your interview with Fox News was just canceled.
It's funny. When I was on the Stern Show, you reminded me of something. I used to do an impression of Mike Tyson, and it wasn't like a flattering impression. One time, the rapper 50 Cent was in, and I was doing an impression of Mike Tyson. I was like, he said he just bought Mike Tyson's house in Connecticut. So we were on Sirius, and I was being like kind of very rude, and I was saying, whatever you do, 50 Cent, don't redecorate my rape room. I searched 3 days for the right color to rape a bitch. So I was laughing, and Robin and Howard were laughing, but 50 Cent was not laughing. And he looked and he said the funniest thing. He goes, y'all act like Mike don't still knock mother effers out. And, you know, it makes you think. You just made me think with the Australia stuff. Maybe I should.
Yeah, be careful.
Now, how long did you live in Australia?
Tough down
You lived
there.
in Brisbane.
I lived in Brisbane, yeah. In the 80s. I don't remember it like most people don't remember the 80s.
Were you partying a lot then?
A little bit.
Yeah.
83 through 88.
That sounds like a time to be in Australia.
Yeah, it was fun.
So were you really into
and then it was time
music?
to leave.
Were you doing the music scene there?
No, you know
like Men at Work must have been gigantic.
AC/DC.
Well, I know.
Right?
I heard you're an AC/DC fan.
I love it.
Yeah. The bands that were big when I was down there were In Excess.
Oh yeah.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Midnight Oil.
Midnight Oil was huge. Yeah.
Crowded House. And a couple of other uniquely Australian bands that didn't break out. The best band name I think I ever heard out there was a band called Not Drowning Waving. They were good.
Yeah. Now,
and there was another one called Mental as Anything, who I also like. They're funny. They're funny down there.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
What about Australia makes it tougher though? Is it like what is it about it down there?
Well,
Everything's bigger.
I haven't been there for a long time, but they hated British people when I was down there. I do remember that.
Well, you colonized them.
Yeah. Of course, it was all my fault. Yeah, it's a unique place actually, and I have to say that I was actually down there again about 4 years ago for the first time in many years. There's actually a very vibrant independent music scene down there right now.
I'm sure.
Really
Midnight
vibrant.
Oil was a great band,
Yeah.
and In Excess was great.
We had a band on. I think it's coming up on an episode of Guitar Center Sessions. I don't think we've run it yet. In the last batch that we recorded, a band from Australia, from Adelaide, Australia, called Atlas Genius, who are a great band. Yeah, there's a lot of good music down there.
I always loved AC/DC just because they were non-apologetic, just in your face, like we're singing about hell and broads,
Sure.
and coke, and that's it.
They were from Adelaide.
Are they really?
Yeah, South Australia.
I also love the Brian Johnson's raps in between songs. It's never like political. It's never self-important. It's always just like, okay, we got some Back in Black for you. Ready?
You know, the thing about AC/DC is that, I mean, Highway to Hell is one of the most classic records
If there's nothing
ever
else,
made,
nothing else to
you know?
listen to when you're driving to Atlantic City. Nothing.
Exactly, or Pacific Coast Highway for that matter.
Right,
you know,
right,
it's
yeah.
like,
It's amazing.
That's
I
a
know.
driving record for
It's
you.
still I mean that, and You Shook Me All Night Long has got to be one of the best rock records of all time. I got to take another break, and we'll back with Nic after this. Hey, welcome back. Last couple of minutes with Nic Harcourt from Guitar Center Sessions. So, how much has music meant to your life, just in general? I know, obviously, it gave you a career and stuff, but what could you imagine a life without music in it? Like, how important was it?
But remarkably, I found a career. To be honest with you, I got to tell you, it's remarkable.
But it's great. I mean, you're good at it, and it beats working
thank
for
you.
a living.
It sure does. Yeah, absolutely. I think that anybody who has any opportunity to make a living in the arts or whatever, we're truly fortunate.
Definitely.
And it sounds like you have also done your days of ditch digging as well. It's
Absolutely,
like if you come from that, then you appreciate it even more. But I think that for me, as I talked to you a little bit earlier, when I first heard the Beatles, it just changed everything.
What was the first Beatles tune you heard? You remember?
I know, it was probably Please Please Me or something like that.
So the early
She Loves
stuff,
You, and then they got good. You know what I mean?
No, I know. I try to explain to younger people, like, it's as if NSYNC became Radiohead.
Kind of.
In a way, a huge pop band.
So I think that it just sort of gave me it just gave me something as a kid growing up in where I grew up in Birmingham in England, and hearing I mean the Beatles, it was it took the black and white world into Technicolor. It's cliched, but it's
right. No, you're right. I agree with you.
It's true.
Yeah, and it helped to grow up. I don't know. I even though I became a comic. Music obviously was a big part of my life, and without it, I wouldn't have gotten through a lot of hard times. That's why sometimes you're really hesitant to meet. I don't know if you're like this, a hero of yours in music.
I've had a couple of those moments
which I
wish I hadn't had. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what they are.
I know,
right now,
but without mentioning who, was it like an enormous, real letdown?
There's been a couple, there's been a couple, and they always say, be careful, when you meet your heroes, But I've also met some of them who have been absolutely amazing,
right?
So I think I've been very lucky that I found this career out of something that I love. But music as a teenager, I mean, that's where it really counts.
Well, no,
right?
you're right. When to me, I met three heroes. Two were great. One was disappointing. Howard Stern was great. Bruce Springsteen was great. The only disappointment, Brian Austin Green. From Beverly Hills, better known as Bag in the hip hop community.
Wow.
You did the new 90210.
Come back anytime.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Nic Harcourt.
Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, you too.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.